This Christmas marks the 60th anniversary of A Charlie Brown Christmas, a beloved staple at this time of year and arguably the most famous and influential animated Christmas special of all time. Now seems like a good time to take a look back and revisit the humble origins of this Christmas classic, a special that was developed on a tight deadline, a tiny budget, and with a cast of almost entirely amateur child voice actors. Yet it still managed to leave us with a very special Christmas gift that continues to be replayed every year around the world, and turned out to be the first in over 50 Peanuts animated specials. This is the story of A Charlie Brown Christmas. Peanuts was created by Charles M. Schulz and began as a daily comic strip on October 2nd, 1950, in 7 national newspapers. And over the course of 4 years, the strip began to syndicate outside of the US. By the 1960s, Peanuts had reached its golden age, becoming an international cultural phenomenon and arguably the most famous and influential comic strip in the world at the time. In 1963, a documentary producer and TV announcer named Lee Mendelson released a television documentary film about the life and career of baseball legend Willie Mays, entitled A Man Named Mays, which aired on NBC. In mid-December 1963, 2 months after the documentary was released, Mendelson decided that, following his film about the best baseball player, he would produce a film about the worst baseball player, Charlie Brown. Mendelson subsequently hired animator Bill Melendez to direct some animation based on the strips. Bill had experience working with the Peanuts characters in a handful of commercials for the Ford Motor Company from 1959 until 1962. A boy named Charlie Brown was screened for the Greater San Francisco Advertising Club in the spring of 1964, where it was received with considerable enthusiasm, but Mendelson was unsuccessful in securing sponsorship. Although the special never aired on television, the documentary was instrumental in garnering commercial support and helped put together the creative team that resulted in A Charlie Brown Christmas in 1965 and the ensuing series of Peanuts television specials. In April 1965, Lee Mendelson was approached by New York-based advertising agency McCann Erickson on behalf of their client, Coca-Cola, to produce an animated Christmas special, which Coke would sponsor and requested an outline by the next week. Mendelson approached Charles M. Schulz about the possibility of producing a Peanuts animated Christmas special. The two were joined by Bill Melendez in San Francisco, and the three sat down to write an outline for A Christmas Story, written by Charles Schulz and to be produced by Lee Mendelson and directed by Bill Melendez. Coca-Cola accepted the outline and authorized the special, with just over 6 months to go until Christmas. The Christmas miracle was that they were able to finalize an animated special in 6 months, and the biggest challenge was remaining authentic to the source material and successfully bringing an inanimate comic strip to life through animation. In A Charlie Brown Christmas, Charlie Brown is depressed by the commercialization of the holiday and personally feels a lack of Christmas spirit. After seeking professional help from Lucy, she invites him to direct the school's Christmas play, which is beset by problems, and Charlie is frustrated by the lack of seriousness in the other participants. He is tasked with finding a Christmas tree for the play, with Lucy suggesting he brings back a big, pink, aluminium Christmas tree, which was hugely popular in the 1960s. Charlie Brown picks the only real tree at the tree lot, a small, weak sapling, of which he is very proud, but back at rehearsals, the rest of the gang are bitterly disappointed by his choice of tree. In an iconic moment, Linus then steps in to remind everyone of the true meaning of Christmas by quoting scripture. Emboldened by his newfound inspiration, Charlie heads home to decorate his tree, but his enthusiasm is short-lived as the weak sapling has difficulty holding the decorations, which sends Charlie into another downward spiral. He is followed by the rest of the gang, who feel that they have perhaps been too hard on Charlie. They successfully manage to decorate the tree, and together with Charlie Brown sing "Hark the Herald Angels Sing" as the special ends. Under a tight budget and an even tighter deadline, Schulz, Mendelson and Melendez got to work. For the music, it was decided to use a jazz soundtrack, and Mendelssohn approached American jazz musician and Peanuts fan Vince Guaraldi, who agreed and got back to them a few weeks later with his first composition for the special, a composition he dubbed Linus and Lucy, played at the beginning of the rehearsal scene. Linus and Lucy has become iconic and uniquely identified with the world of Peanuts, as was Christmas Time Is Here, the music played at the beginning of the special. Christmas Time Is Here was originally an instrumental piece composed by Guaraldi, but Mendelssohn felt that the special needed a song with lyrics, and in 15 minutes wrote the lyrics for Christmas Time Is Here. Instead of using adults to do kids' voices, which was the standard at the time, it was decided to use actual kids to voice the animated ones. Peter Robbins, who voiced Charlie Brown, and Chris Shear, who voiced Linus, were both professional voice actors who had both voiced their respective characters in the unaired A Boy Named Charlie Brown documentary, while the other characters in A Charlie Brown Christmas were voiced by amateur child voice actors. The older 10 to 11-year-olds had no problem voicing their roles, but the younger 5 to 6-year-olds understandably had to be coached and directed, often reading one line at a time. Snoopy was voiced by director Bill Melendez, who initially just filled in to do his voice, but the rest of the production team was satisfied with the sounds he made for Snoopy, and Bill continued voicing the famous Beagle for the rest of the production. Charles Schulz wanted Linus to read from the Bible, despite the skepticism of everyone else, something that Schulz was used to as he had been advised previously against quoting scripture in the Peanuts comic strip, advice which Schulz ultimately ignored. Linus reads from the book of Luke chapter 2 verses 8 to 14 from the King James Version of the Bible, providing a much-needed anecdote to the commercialization of Christmas and the aggravation Charlie Brown had experienced up to that point. Neither Lee Mendelssohn nor Bill Melendez was satisfied with the final cut of the special, feeling it was too slow-paced and wasn't as well adapted as they expected. The 3 television networks didn't like it either, with the major criticism directed at the choice of music, the amateur voicing, and the lack of a laugh track, which was standard at that time. Nevertheless, A Charlie Brown Christmas aired on CBS on December 9, 1965, and was an enormous success, being the second most watched show that week, reportedly enjoying 45% share of audience that night, and the special was bested only by the extremely popular Western series Bonanza. Critics at the time were unanimous in their praise, with the New York Post praising the very neat transition from comic page to screen, The Hollywood Reporter deeming the show delightfully novel and amusing, while the Weekly Variety dubbed it fascinating and haunting. Linus's reading of the story of the Nativity was dubbed the dramatic highlight of the season by another reviewer. In addition to the critical acclaim, A Charlie Brown Christmas was awarded a Peabody Award and later the Emmy Award for Outstanding Children's Program in 1966. A Charlie Brown Christmas was rerun each year on CBS from 1966 until the year 2000. The original featured numerous references to its sponsor, Coca-Cola, including the first scene after Charlie Brown crashes into a tree. Linus then crashes into a Coca-Cola sign. This and other references to the soft drink brand were removed in later broadcasts. The special had a far-reaching influence not only on the Peanuts franchise, but beyond. A Charlie Brown Christmas established the style of the string of future Peanuts specials that would follow, combining thoughtful themes, jazzy scores, and simple animation. Beyond that, references to religion were practically unheard of in television. In his book, A Charlie Brown Religion, Stephen J. Lint reports that at the time, less than 9% of Christmas episodes and specials contained religious references. The special also marked the first time children voiced animated characters. Charlie Brown's insistence on purchasing a real tree and disparagement of the aluminium Christmas tree practically eliminated the popularity of the aluminium tree, which was a fad around 1965. By 1967, they were no longer being regularly manufactured, to the point that most modern viewers of the special are unfamiliar with this type of artificial tree. In fact, artificial replica models of Charlie Brown's poor tree are still offered by various retailers today and have become synonymous with minimalist Christmas decorating. 60 years later, A Charlie Brown Christmas remains a beloved and staple animated Christmas classic. Let us know in the comments if you can remember the first time you ever watched this special, and if you plan on rewatching it again this Christmas. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out my Christmas playlist where you can learn more about the origins of Santa Claus in animation and the history of animated adaptations of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like this video if you learned something today, and you can spread the Christmas cheer by sharing this video with anyone you know who may learn something they didn't know about this beloved classic. I'll be back again soon with another video in time for Christmas, so be sure to subscribe for more content like this and hit the bell notification so you don't miss the next video. Until then, stay safe and stay tuned for more cartoon history.